Hi, my name is Nina. I'm a licensed illustrator and pattern designer, also known as DOED. And in this video, I will show you how to use my brush stamp set, Butterflies. In this brush set, you'll find 43 ready-to-use stamps. There are 14 butterfly wings, 11 body and antenna shapes, and 16 different spots that you can combine to create unique butterfly illustrations. And as a little bonus, I added these 2 postage stamp shapes so you can create lovely vintage illustrations. Each element is carefully hand-drawn by me. The process I use is the same I use in all my professional work. Now, if we go back to the top, you'll also see 6 bonus brushes I included. And as an addition, you have this custom vibrant butterfly color palette I made. All these colors work wonderfully together, so it will be easy for you to start without being overwhelmed. Okay, let me show you now how this stamp set works. Most of the shapes in this set are static, which means that they don't randomly rotate. So if you select some wings, adjust the scale, and tap to make a shape, they will always be in the same position. If you need to move or rotate the shape, you can do that by selecting it and positioning it as you like. Another option is to rotate the canvas and then tap to position the shape. The same goes for the body. The position will be the same, as well as antenna. They don't randomly rotate. Also, the same is true for these eye spots. So if you want to position them differently, you can do that by rotating the canvas. The shapes that do rotate are these small spots. And here is an example of how that looks. You can stamp them multiple times, and instead of copy-paste, you'll get a rich and diverse look. At the top of this set, you'll see these 6 bonus brushes. The first one is a mono brush, which I use to create these elements, so it will be perfect to use it if you wish to erase or add something to the stamps. You have these 3 paper texture brushes that you can use to add a final analog look to your work. Now let's select the paper texture brush, and I will grab some paper color. I'll make it a bit darker so you can see the results. And now in one go, without lifting the pen, I will cover the whole canvas area. You can now see how wonderfully this paper texture looks. Okay, let's now test the paper speckle brush on top. This will give an additional analog overlay. And last but not least, you have these pattern brushes that will give some fun and interest to your work, especially if you want to create a funky look. Unlike the paper texture, when using these brushes, you don't have to cover everything in one go. You can lift the pen, make multiple strokes, and the pattern will stay the same. Now let's recreate together this lovely butterfly postage stamp. If you haven't purchased the set yet, but want to test it out and follow along, you can download a free sample set by subscribing to my newsletter. The link is down below. My canvas is set to 3000 by 3000 pixels with 300 dpi. I'll turn this example off, and let's start by choosing a background color. And now in a new layer, I will create a stamp. I'll select a white color and find the postage stamp in the set. To position it correctly, I'll select it, turn on the snapping, and move it a bit so it's in the center. The next thing I'll do is add some paper texture to the background. I'll select a paper color, and I'll use a paper texture brush in a new layer at the bottom. I'll cover the whole canvas area behind the postage stamp. And now I can set this layer to multiply. Now, what I want to do is create some shade underneath this stamp. I'll do that by duplicating it, selecting the bottom one, and coloring the bottom one in black. You cannot see it now, but I will select it and move it a bit down and a bit to the right, so it just sticks out ever so slightly. As you can see now, it looks very sharp, and we want to make it smooth. To do that, I will go to Adjustments and use Gaussian Blur. While it's selected, I just need to pull it with a pen to 4% to make these soft, blurry edges that look like a real shade. This color is too strong for my taste. I want it to look natural, so I will lower the opacity. And now it looks perfect. Okay, it's time to create a butterfly illustration. I will use this lovely blue color and this wing shape. I will select it and make sure it's positioned in the center. And I might also adjust the size a bit. Okay, it looks great now. In a new layer, I will create a body for this butterfly. I'll select this body shape and stamp it in the middle. And now let's select some antenna. It's good to stamp everything in a new layer so you can position it correctly. Once that's done, I can merge the body and antenna together. And then I can play a bit more with positioning. And then I will set this layer to multiply to get this interesting color overlay of shapes. Now it's time to decorate the butterfly. This is the part that brings most joy and fun. I can now use the eye stamps. I'll go with this one for the upper wing. And now another one for the bottom wing. I'm rotating the canvas to position it as I like. Now I can use the smaller shapes to add more decoration. Since this shape rotates and it might not be positioned as you like, you can use the lasso tool to select it and position it in the way you want. The same goes for this square shape. Just lasso it, rotate it, and move it as you like. Now to fill the other side of the wings with the same shapes, I will duplicate the layer, select it, and flip it. In this way, I can move it to the other side and position it. I will merge these layers and create a new layer on top. I want to add more interest to it, so I would now use spot shapes. I'll select some vibrant color and a spot shape I want to use. And before I start, I will set this layer to multiply so I can get those nice overlay color effects. I'll adjust the size and place the dots. You can see how these color overlays look. It's a very interesting effect. And now I'll do the same thing on the top of the butterfly wings. This part feels a bit empty, so let's add some more spots. I feel like I can decorate butterflies all day. It's so much fun, and there are so many combinations that you can do. Okay, I will now add a few more shapes at the bottom and the top of the butterfly so I can fill the empty space and add some interest to this postage stamp. It's time to adjust the positioning a bit, and it's done. This looks really, really beautiful. Now let's add some final touches. I'll create a paper texture overlay. I will create a paper texture overlay. The paper overlay needs to cover just the surface of the postage stamp. And I will do that by going to Layers, finding the postage stamp, tapping on it, and in this menu, I'll tap on Select. As you can now see, the only area that is selected is the postage stamp area, while the rest is covered in these zebra lines, which means it's not selected. In this way, I can create a layer on top, and in that layer create a texture overlay that will stay in the boundaries of the selection. I'll go with a bit darker paper color, select the paper texture brush, and cover this surface in one go. To finish the look, I'll change the layer mode from normal to multiply. You can now see this subtle paper texture I've created. While it's still selected, I will open a new layer on top, set it to multiply, choose a bit darker color and select paper speckles. In this way, I can add more analog texture to the illustration. It's a bit dark, so I'll just lower the opacity. Once that's all done, I can deselect the selection. And last but not least, let's add some interest to the background by using a pattern brush. In the layers, I'll create a new layer at the bottom. I'll select the same pink color I used for the background, and I will set this new layer to multiply. And in the brush set, I'll select this lovely pattern brush and cover the background. These pattern brushes are so joyful to use, and they make everything look fun. To make it more subtle so it doesn't overpower the main illustration, I will lower the opacity of this new pattern layer. And here it is. The illustration is finished. It's made entirely with my brush stamp set butterflies. This is just a glimpse into what you can make because possibilities are numerous. I hope you'll enjoy using this set, and I would love to see what you'll create with it. The links for purchasing the set and also getting a free sample are listed down below. Thanks for watching!